started now.
Oh, I can
warn me.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for the consent warning. It didn't tell us anything about that.
I know, right?
California CCPA regulations are in effect.
Hell yeah.
Well, welcome everyone. Thanks very much. Thank you, Kyle, for being the ringmaster for tonight. I'd like to welcome everybody to a new episode of Chain of Command. I'm Joel, and with me tonight are
I'm
these
Kyle.
other gentlemen.
And I'm Moby, or Obadiah.
I've never heard that, but I'm Tony. Howdy.
Just in case we missed it, I'm Kyle. Sometimes I'm on the forums, and sometimes I'm not. Usually I'm not, but you know.
Yeah, I gave up.
Yeah.
Probably better for sanity.
Yeah. So why are we here tonight? We are here tonight because CodeOne rules dropped, and as exciting as that game is, you know, with its very small board, its very short time window of play, I think all of us are just really interested in to see what the changes that these may hearken for later on.
Yeah.
So I think a little bit of structure, what we're going to do here is just kind of like, hey, you know, what do we think about the release so far? Like in a big top-down way, like product quality, release schedule, any other thing we want to talk about. And then we can kind of nitpick on, hey, I really like that doctored models stand up right away, because that makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair. That sounds like a good plan.
It's slightly terrifying, because then suddenly your guy that you want to stay prone is like, hey, I'm up. Look at me. I'm alive.
Put me back in the ring. I got this.
Yeah, I know.
It's like that scene from The Life of Brian. The guy's jumping in the pit. I'm alive.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, I guess just to start, like, I like the PDF they presented. It looks pretty high quality. There's a lot of like nice little visual examples, and so it looks like a product. I mean, that's definitely a big plus for how CodeOne has been come out. I think because we're all currently being hit by the biotech war, but like all their initial actual rollout plans got junked because it should have been like with the boxes and the product in hand.
Yeah.
But like it's interesting, I guess, as to how they put it out right now, because the website is up. CodeOne Army seems to be working mostly. There's some problems people reported of like Android or like their web not quite working.
Mobile.
Rather. Yeah. Web just worked. I just checked a second ago. So I guess it's up. And
Mine's not working.
Theoretically, you could play it tomorrow, pretty much as is.
Yeah. Though I'm still thinking that ninja and Yujing snuck in there. I don't think he's supposed to be there. He's got.
I don't know. The model's being released, so they got to put
the new one.
Yeah.
I think that may be intentional. But I think he's going to go back into deployment before too long.
Okay, so I know that, let's see, what did we get? We're still, just now, Caldstrom is hitting shelves. I know I'm waiting on mine from Ruben and MOE. Has anybody else gotten it yet?
No.
I think we're all waiting on it from MOE.
Okay, cool. So, you know, we're waiting on that, and, you know, there's nothing to be said about that. All of us are getting a ton of painting done, a ton of, like, hobbying done, if you're not me. And all I am is I'm like a crow on a fence post at this point. Just
It's okay. You can pay Sri Lankans to do it.
I paid Sri Lankans to do that. And next is in Poles. And next is Venezuelans.
Oh,
because I'm going to put dollars into that economy.
Well, it's not like we're going to be hanging around a bunch of tables for a little bit anyway. So you got plenty of time.
Yeah.
Right. So that's good. I agree with you, Tony. I like that they put out the PDF. Mike Byer did a fantastic job on the CodeOne apps, both for Android and iPad or iPhone. I think those look good. I think there are some generic surprises, and like and things that we always expect from CB when it comes to their integration with tech, and that's always quality control issues.
Yeah.
Like some models seem to be jumping at very strange amounts of space, like 0.8 or point whatever decimal, and I don't know. If you've been playing this game with this company long enough, I think that initial release of anything new, the reaction has just become, yeah, let's just wait a few months and see what the reality is.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment, right? I mean, we see profiles that have skills that aren't in the rule book. We see weapons that are showing up different in the rule book and the army builder, and it's hard to tell what's the copy and paste error and what's the no, we changed our mind later error. So, it'll shake out soon.
Yeah. And since this has clearly been, and in some various forms of iteration on how much they're going to simplify and how they're going to convert profiles over, it'd be really easy for lots of stuff to slip through.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. So, what do you, I mean, overall, like, you guys have gone through this and you guys have read a bunch of stuff. Like, how do you feel? What's your general approach to CodeOne right now? Like, are you feeling happy? Are you feeling, like, anger deep in your cockles? Like, what are you guys feeling?
I'm on the, so right now, right, we're in the shelter in place, quarantine, coronatine, whatever you want to call it. And Tabletop Simulator is the avenue that most of us have to be able to play. And I think CodeOne is a really good way to do that because it takes a lot of the complexity issues out that you would have in N3 or what will be N4 for a digital medium for a physical game. And it takes a lot of that problem out. So I think it's a really good game for that especially.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think Tabletop Simulator will be even better for playing CodeOne than normal Infinity because of the limited scope. Because you're always with 10 orders, you have limited things which are really requiring very finicky measurement, like all the necessary hacking programs and areas of zones of control, not as prevalent. You've got a lot less different options on the available, so that it's much more direct with what you're doing. And you're moving your models less because a number of things that normally shift your model around aren't there.
Yeah, like you don't have impetuous movement, things like that, which can be a little cumbersome in tabletop.
Right. Yeah. Or smoke. Smoke is a huge bit of finicky and kind of slightly cumbersome stuff that we all deal with every game Infinity, but it's completely absent in CodeOne.
Yeah. Why do you guys think that they pulled smoke from the game for CodeOne?
I mean, it creates some interactions, right? Where if you've got a model moving within zone of control who has MSV 2 or 3 of a model who doesn't, then it creates some finicky ARO possibilities. And so I think just clearing out some of those complications, or if you've got a model that's moving outside of somebody's zone of control, looking through a model at smoke, then they don't really get a reaction, so it can create that kind of, I don't know, negative play experience, if you want to go with that, right? Where your only option is to dodge after the fact or shoot back at huge penalties, or if they get you out of line of fire, I don't know, whatever. Yeah.
I think in some ways it kind of streamlines things too, because you don't have that. There's less guesswork with where you need to throw the smoke and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
One thing,
and I don't know. Seems like it changes kind of how you have to deal with the problem. It makes it a lot easier to just bypass a unit, and it also may have to do with the smaller table size. Because if you have smoke throwers that are decent in close combat, you can throw smoke on somebody and cover a good portion of the table.
Yeah.
One thing definitely is that removing smoke eliminates the entire problem of what on earth a smoke dodge is, quote unquote smoke dodge, which probably exists in some form in N4, but it's not like players who've been playing this for 10 years still have questions about what happens when and how and the details, right?
And whether or not they get to move if they succeed at the smoke dodge.
And all the different implications, like, oh, if I have MSV2 and I throw smoke, does it do anything? Or, like all of those questions.
I think it's also worth noting if you're playing a game with objectives, and you've managed to take out the 1 or 0 models that your opponent brought with MSV2, smoke becomes the most powerful tool in that game.
Yes.
Right? Because suddenly you can just say, cool, I'm going to throw smoke on the objective, and you can't do a fucking thing about it when I walk up and push that button and win the game.
Yeah,
So
that is a problem.
Just saying CodeOne only has one faction, and that faction's everyone is now Pano.
There you go.
Essentially. Except some of them are Pano with, kicking and punching.
Yeah, lower ballistic skill. Morons.
Yeah, I mean, that's a bigger question. Like, when you eliminate one of those major components of the game, like smoke, how do you really differentiate between the factions? Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you. I understand this Pano is the close combat faction because they have that Gunnar guy and some knights, and a bunch of choppy things. So.
Yeah, I mean, they got more options than they used to.
Yeah. He's also got a 10-point, 15-point price drop, so that's good.
Yeah.
That guy was way too expensive.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Yeah, Gunner is one of those massive, like, when you watch CB design, just get involved in something, be like, yes, this 38-point model is perfectly reasonably priced. It's the additive just makes sense. And you're like, no one's going to use this model, not ever.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like
him and Uma.
What's that?
I was gonna say, it's like Fat Thor. He just has all this stuff on him, and he needs to get lean in order to get back in the game.
Yes, he needs to work. Yes, he needs to do more cardio. More cardio.
Oh,
I mean, he's a rad Barhu, but I mean, whatever, man.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's see here. So wait, real quick. So, like, I play whatever, but I've been looking at a combined army. I've been playing combined army for a while now. What are you guys playing as your primaries?
Aleph at this point.
So which one are you going to pick from the 4 that we got options on?
It doesn't. I have all of them, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
Tony?
I got mostly Pano, Nomads, and Ariadna, so I guess I'm Pano by default, pretty much.
Right, till now, for now.
Yeah.
Obi?
I have nothing for CodeOne yet. I mean, I've got some of the old O12 boys, but I don't have any of them put together, and I'm not expecting to get them put together until after the Defiance drops. So that's another good reason why it's nice to chest it out on Tabletop Sim.
Yeah, because you don't have to do any of the painting yourself.
And you don't need to have any of the models. You can get a relatively, you don't have to have proxies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's see. What was I thinking about here for just a moment? So of what you guys have seen so far, what is striking you guys as one of your favorite changes that has happened with CodeOne? For CodeOne, not for what it may mean for N4. Maybe that's a different question.
Okay. Honestly, I like hacking. I think they had a couple options, and I think I know they're going to do something very different for N4. But I think the directions they could go from N3 are either make it cute or make it really interesting. But to make it really interesting, I think they would need to do it very carefully and probably add more depth to it. And I think going with making it cute, something that is kind of cool, and there's just 2 programs. You can immobilize things that are hackable, and you can target everyone. And I think that's a great way to approach it, where it's like, cool, we've got the specialist, it's useful, and that's it. It's not a huge liability, it's not totally necessary, but it is cool.
I think the targeted state. So one of the biggest dangers that a company, and Tony, you can probably talk best of any of this about this, but when you're creating synergistic rules and making sure that those don't become overpowered, like you see in Privateer Press. I mean, Malifaux is an extremely synergistic game. Like, that really hasn't happened very much in Infinity, and the change in targeted. The fact it's an ARO, so you know things like that all seem to be adding into the impact that you can do Like it's going to make those interactions a lot more interesting. I don't know.
I definitely agree, because I can see a lot of strategic aspects of the way the hacking spotlight currently works in ARO in CodeOne compared to like N3 even, where you could have like a hacker in a closet somewhere that's within range of people passing through, and he's tagging them with spotlight as they come through.
Yeah.
Which makes an easier meet for your defenders who are AROing now at 3. And even if they don't attack you, that status lingers, and you have to spend orders to eliminate it. So you're setting them up for like an easier knockdown next turn, which is really cool.
Well, the other thing that's really interesting about it is that if you end up hacking or spotlighting somebody that you can then carbonite, they're going to be at a -6 to reset out of those.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or at least reset out of the carbonite. So that's pretty fun.
One thing I thought was really cool is the fact that like targeting in N2 and N3 was really hard to do, and it lasts very little amount of time. It's like either you have a very specific hacker target somebody with a program that's kind of hard to land, which you could have also used that to probably mess them up in some other way, or you forward observed in a direct face-to-face, in which case you probably could have shot them instead with your gun.
Right.
So this is a bit of an interesting change.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was thinking about this. I'm like, well, maybe Pano shouldn't have so much availability of hackers in the midfield because they already have the best ballistic skills. But then you realize that they get Crocman and who's that guy nobody takes?
Locust.
Locust, yeah.
Yes.
And so you can take them and sit them in the midfield, and then you're going to be AROing things on 15s, like, is amazing.
Right.
Without the link team models.
For sure.
So there's definitely a deal. So I'm interested to see where that means. I agree with you, Kyle. I think that's definitely one of the more interesting aspects of the changes. I'm still curious to see how they're going to differentiate the different armies in a very meaningful way.
Yeah.
Because that's a great point, Tony. They all kind of feel like Pano. Tony, what do you think's the biggest change that's happened? The most fun change?
I think a lot of it is the cleanup, because Infinity had a lot of rules which were very similar to the point where they didn't need to really exist as different rules because they don't do that much different. I think one example is if they removed change facing entirely, I don't think anyone would actually notice. It just needs to be a blurb in Dodge which says, if you can't see the target, you get a -3 and maybe you can't move. Instead of having someone wonder like, oh, do I do a change facing technically or a dodge or so forth.
Yeah.
Same with the fact that they made it so that place deployable is a skill instead of mines and AP mines. And that led to all kinds of questions as to what you're supposed to be able to do. It really simplifies things without taking away a single shred of options or like sophistication.
Yeah, so I mean, something that goes into that too is with dodge, you actually do, it is taking the place of change facing. And not only that, it's also taking the place of engage, which is nice because it used to be really frustrating when you had, like units that were G-synced and one of the guys was close enough to do an engage, but the other guy was not. And because of the way that engage was written, if you can't get into the base to base, then it just automatically fails. So now you're able to dodge and you can move into base contact with that dodge.
Right.
So if you're successful, you're still moving closer, even if you don't get the chance to, jump on somebody's head. It does seem like it's changed a little bit because you now need to be able to trace your dodge to them at their. Sorry, hold on a sec.
Sorry, I was trying to be incognito with that one, but didn't work out.
Not at all.
It's okay. We're all learning the system together. This is
Yeah, doing this remotely is interesting. So I'll selectively mute in between.
Okay. No, it's not when you're not talking. It's when you are talking that it's getting like a little bit of you can hear a little bit of an echo that's sort of like distorting you. So if you got it, Obi, I think yours is fine. But
yeah.
Sounds good.
Right. Yeah. Cool.
Clear
so,
enough.
Obi, what do you think is the funnest change that you've seen so far in the rules?
I think I'm with Tony, like just kind of the collapsing of rules. I am liking that. There's it's interesting to kind of see the breakdown of the rules too, where you used to have something that would give you camouflage, or like camouflage used to have basically the mimetism and then the marker state, whereas now you have those things broken down.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that'll be interesting to see going forward how those type of things really just start stacking and combining in different ways than they would have before when they were all kind of stuck in one skill. And then some of these, just like the way that some of these skills are combining is pretty interesting. I also like the simplification of martial arts. It does seem like there's maybe, I don't know, maybe it doesn't need to have so many levels to it, but
what you mean?
I still,
redundant?
I wouldn't say so. I'd say that 3 is more redundant than 4.
You
Okay.
know,
Because 2, you're getting a +2 to your. I think you're only getting a +1 to your physique at that point.
yeah, 2 through 4.
And the
is
difference between +1 and 3 is pretty huge. I was just looking at like Hippolyta from 012, and hitting with a Phys 17 is pretty fucking powerful.
Yeah.
Whereas 15, you're like, okay, that's not so bad.
You know, this is a case where I think hopefully it's the design principle they're sticking with. Sorry if I still have some verb. I don't really have a way.
I don't know. It sounds a lot better actually. I don't know
So
why.
it's that in Infinity N3, there's a lot of things which are called false choices, right? Where you have all these options. In reality, half of them stink, and there's actually one outright winner. And
Yeah.
martial arts was that case where you used level 1 or level 3 for 90% of things. And
yeah, and level 2 was kind of just like, well, I guess if I'm hitting a brick wall,
right, and you must have used it maybe 1 in 20 times deliberately for the actual best result. In which case that becomes a false choice. It's kind of a noob trap where you're like, oh, I didn't know that one was actually slightly worse, by the math. And so in this case, because every level is legitimately 100% better than the previous one, you don't have to go and memorize these weird gotchas. And hopefully it's the same with hacking, right? Where, maybe your has a better carbonite that's just plain better instead of a weirder one that you're like, oh, should I use basilisk or gotcha or carbonite? And who knows?
Yeah, I think it'd be good if they, on those hacking devices, if they did add a better program that they just don't have the lower program, because that was definitely something that was difficult to read through. Where you have 2 or 3 programs, so it seemed that they do the same, and one is just better, and though some of them only lasted for a turn, so it was a little confusing. I do like the 2 hacking programs that we've seen definitely show a lot of promise.
Yeah.
So the things that I liked, I think is the most fun is, and not to say the things that you guys said because that's boring, is I got to say I really like the change to paramedic and medikits primarily, because that was such a maligned specialist, right? With such low utility. You're like, why would I ever try to do that? And now you're like, yeah, I'll go for that. That's a 50-50 chance at worst. Or if you're getting a Boyg and you get 13, 14 or whatever it is. Heavy infantry.
Yeah, it definitely makes those heavy infantry and high physique units that much better.
Yeah.
Especially the Boyg, and it also makes those low phys heavy infantry a little more disappointing too.
Yeah. I really like that. The idea that oh, hey, sup, I got my medigun and it has WebMD loaded on it, and I don't need my medical degree because that orc has the electroshock paddles built in. I just need to push the button.
Yeah.
But it does still make your doctor useful, because lots of things don't have good physique. And you might want to actually try to pick those up, and you could probably still re-roll or something in N4. Who knows? Maybe you'll have other advantages, right? But it was always the question of, you'd have to spend an order to try to recover a guy, which might not be worth it half the time, and you only have so much of a chance to succeed anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I failed at bringing McMurrow back. So,
Hey, you can still manage that in
Yeah.
CodeOne.
I do manage to roll that bad dice whenever I need it. So I know that seems like a really small thing, but that's to me that's really, there's all the stuff that you guys have said, but that one and then placing deployables being a ubiquitous skill,
Mhm.
that drove me nuts. It drove me nuts that everybody's doing the same exact thing and that you couldn't coordinate those orders, and that was so annoying. And I really hope that gets carried over for N4, but I like what it has here for CodeOne. It's just this. It's all the same to the user. It just doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that is nice too is that it, with the change to like the paramedic and doctor, and what we discussed with the way hacking is working, it actually makes those specialists a lot more useful. Because you really kind of want to have an engineer to nullify some of that stuff, because otherwise everything's going to be getting hit on a +3 if your opponent has a hacker and you don't have an engineer.
It's a really good point.
Suddenly, Whip 12 sucks even harder because some of your guys are like, "Oh man, God, how do I get this targeting spot off my chest?"
Yeah.
So I may be jumping the gun, but that brings up a disappointment I have.
No.
A lot of the right, I know.
Do it.
In a lot of the videos with Carlos, he had mentioned that doctoring and engineering were going to see dramatic changes. And I don't remember if that was for N4 or if it was for CodeOne, or maybe it was before they decided something different. But it sounded like it was going to be different, and then it's not. It's the same, but there's no command tokens. And so maybe N4 it'll like they'll do a revamp, or maybe they change their minds on it last minute. But I was a little disappointed to see that Doctor and Engineer stayed exactly the same.
There's more things you can engineer now, though. So that even if you don't have remotes, you could bring an engineer to remove from guys, or themselves in theory.
I mean, you could already do that. If you were playing O12 and you didn't bring an engineer, you're an idiot, right? Like that. If you're playing against O12 and they're going to adhesive all your shit and you don't have an engineer, yeah. So that's still applicable, and I think because of the hacking devices, it's a little bit more applicable, but it doesn't make any dramatic change to engineering or doctoring.
I
mean, they don't functionally change that much, right?
Right.
Yeah. And I don't know how you would functionally change them that much and keep them as being doctors and engineers.
Yeah.
I don't either, but it sounded cool.
You know what we could have?
You wanted more.
Doctors, and they all argue with each other and tell you that, you're going to get the disease or not get the disease.
Right. Right.
I do like though that with the doctor having that and the med kit change.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because suddenly you're like, I'm just going to pump you with drugs.
Right.
Well, this also evens out doctors for all the factions, though, because what made a good doctor was, were you linkable? Or like other kinds of like traits like that. So they cost about very similar to a paramedic. Especially the basic ones in your faction, to the point where like you're thinking, why would I take like a lone Zanshi paramedic when I could take the doctor for like an extra couple of points? And this brings the paramedics a little bit back up to parity, and it means that your doctors are now like more of a choice, and they're not overwhelmingly, man, Hawk is the only group that can pick people up.
Well, can you still only bring a buddy bot if you're a doctor or an engineer?
Yeah,
it does say that.
Okay, so I mean, there's that ability. In addition, the Maghreba Guard is now the big ambulance that it was always meant to be.
Yeah.
Right.
I think the other thing too is that the your buddy bot is not having a med kit, so you do have to. If you're getting in close with them, your whip is still going to matter. If you want to have an effective use of that buddy bot, you want a high whip doctor.
Yep. Yeah. And I think one thing that we've kind of gone around this conversation is that while there's a lot of these changes that make sense for CodeOne to remove some of the complexity, but surprisingly less of it than I thought, N4 could simply just be expanding on exactly what's here, right?
Yeah.
So that literally could be, again, Doctor does this in CodeOne. Doctor in N4 does the exact same thing plus something else. Since that's the way they wrote it, it's unlikely that things will be different in N4. They'll probably just be add-ons in N4.
Yes.
Yeah.
I cannot see that not being the case. I mean, when you make a game that's designed for 8 to 14-year-olds, and then you make the exact same game for 15 to 65-year-olds, you don't give them an entire new toolkit with which to work. You just build off the structure that you created when you grab them as children. So I would almost guarantee that everything we see here is a color or variation that we see in N4.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's just a kind of a matter of, casual play versus I want to hurt myself by remembering all these rules version of playing. And I mean, that's also something that is just going to be changing quite a bit for N4 is the addition of the units that are obviously not in CodeOne.
Yeah. Although one thing I would think is that it might not even be casual play, right? Because the actual core rules are every bit as unforgiving in terms of I need to maneuver here and shoot that guy and arrow position there than standard Infinity. Just without a few of the tricks, since the main simplification seems.
Yeah, I mean, it's more the less of like the smoke dodging and the tricks that can happen because of that, and I think probably the trickiest thing that I've seen, which is new to CodeOne, is that a mine hitting you in the back is going to be -6 to dodge.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it really only matters in the reactive turn, but if you put down a mine behind somebody and then shoot them from, or like out of their line of sight, and then have somebody shoot them, they're at a -6 to dodge the mine. It's in an example. I was like, holy crap, that's brutal.
Yeah.
Drop there and stock go up.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's a good point, Tony, is that this is every bit as brutal. One thing that I noticed is because you don't have fire teams and such, I think we're going to move back towards the TR bot being like in every list, right? I was looking, I'm like, ooh, do I have availability 2 TR bots? Oh no, I don't have 2 Q drones. That sucks. But guess what I do have? I have 2.5 point missile launching Noctifers.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I also like? Regeneration is an automatic skill.
Yeah.
That one's so
happens
cool.
at the I actually, you know what? That's probably the thing I like the most is the breakdown of the order where you have the states phase that's basically before your before you start spending any orders, and then you have your resolution, which is after everything's done and no more arrows. So you don't have the Schrodinger's mine clearing, where if you succeed at the dodge, then the mine was never there, but if you fail, then the mine's there, but you never hit the mine, so you don't need to worry about it. None of that. It's just now you can jump into the face of a mine and just have to deal with it in your next order, which makes things really funny.
Which actually, with those models with plus 2-inch dodge, makes a really interesting potential way of saving orders. So instead of having to do a cautious move, you move up to where you would do a cautious move, you make your dodge roll, and then if you can get across the gap with your dodge, you bypass the mine, but if you fail the roll, you just cautious move next turn. Although they don't have cautious move now, do they?
I was going
They
to
don't.
have
But the real funny thing is that you can also do, your units that are 6'2" with a good dodge, plus the dodge, can potentially move faster by attempting a roll, which that's pretty funny.
Yeah. Then hey, big stock to Yujing, right? With all the kinematic and heavy infantry finally having a use for that.
Yeah.
Right. I like that there's 2 regenerating troops in combined, or Shas Light. But Malignant and Shrouded, both of their infiltrating models, you can.
Oh, you're forgetting my favorite unit. How could you leave him out? He's an expert. He's a Tinsho expert, and he's going to regenerate and boarding shotgun people.
Yeah.
Like suddenly, that's actually not a bad choice.
Yeah.
No,
I mean,
he's okay.
He's got a boarding shotgun. He costs 1 point.
I think one thing though is that because the point system got simplified, he's like objectively better than a Nox. Period. Because a Nox also costs 1 point. He's just plain better. Like the Pano, like the trauma doc is just plain better than a Fusilier paramedic. And so there's a few cases where you have like these things, especially the lower point values, where something is just raw better than something else, and we'll see, I guess, how much that matters.
Do you ever see yourself taking a Lazarus order guy?
You know, he's 2 points, and he does have like some better stats.
Yeah.
And when you only have 10 orders, you're going to
Yeah.
start feeling like you need to upgrade to deluxe to fill that out, actually. So
Yeah.
you actually have more use now than before, I think.
Yeah, I think the limiting to 10 orders is actually pretty interesting because it kind of makes you use those units you might not take because you're like, they're not elite enough for the extra points that I'm paying for what I want them to do.
Mm-hmm.
Is everyone just really annoyed that the Boyd doesn't get +1 burst and arrow?
I mean, he didn't have it before, so I don't know why he would have gotten it last. Now.
I think everyone's just waiting for that model, for that profile to get something that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what it got? In this world where medikits are now awesome, it has less physique than an orc. Guy needs to hit the trick right now.
The big thing is that it's got a burst 2 missile launcher with BS-14 when there's no links.
Yeah.
Like
6 save. That's good.
That's not bad. I mean, BS-14 is pretty reasonable for 2-shot missile.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be the more interesting profile for sure now, since his Mark 12 is now literally like a bad orc HMG.
Yeah. But
you are saving the SWC, so we'll see.
Dude, whatever. He's got CC-19. What's an orc got?
You think orcs have better close combat, but
my answer to that is an orc has backup because he costs so much less.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Does anyone have an idea and they're like, you know what? I really don't like this change.
On a change that was, a change, a small change or like overall? Because overall, I'm very happy with how things are. But
I think there's one change which might be ambiguous right now. What constitutes giving something cover? As scanning the rules, I think it just says you have to be in contact with like a terrain thing. But does that mean like my tag could hide behind a lamppost or a desk and get cover?
As the rules are, yes. The one thing that's also ambiguous is, at least in this, and I think it might just be kind of a holdover that's not explained quite yet, is what can go prone. Because it seems like, this is a fairly big change for CodeOne, but it looks like remotes can go prone. There's nothing that I've seen in the rules that say otherwise. So it does. There is some small mention that a tag can't go prone if it goes unconscious, but nowhere else am I seeing something that says anything similar for any other unit type.
What's tough is because CB writes explicit rules, right?
Yeah.
So if it doesn't, if it says everything can go prone, think everything. If it doesn't say something can't go prone, which is how they do it generally, is they only talk about the things that are negated. This can't do what everything else can do. Then I think they can curl up their little legs and go prone.
Yeah. Which, that seems fun. I don't see why they couldn't hunker down.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about the doctrine going to full standing in the state stage? Do you guys care?
Oh, I think it's great, right? Because that model that you had up for ARO, if it falls unconscious, you want to probably put it back up for ARO. So now instead of spending 2 orders to revive it and then stand it back up, you just spend the 1.
He is prone, right? If you have a prone marker next to the guy who went down, he still has the prone state when you heal him?
No. It removes all states on him.
It specifically cancels the prone state.
Huh.
When you doctor somebody back up from unconscious.
Yeah.
Rooftop without a ledge.
Well, that is just weird. It is weird how you think about that.
Yeah.
Don't put the guy you're going to doctor on a rooftop without a ledge then.
That's actually something that's really funny to think about. I hadn't even thought of that one. I was just thinking that like sometimes you want to keep your head down after you heal somebody, especially if you spend too many orders to be able to really do anything with them once you get them up. I don't know.
So-
I mean, it's a change. I'm kind of ambivalent about it in one way or the other. I think it has some definite upsides, and could potentially be really ruinous if you like pop up and there's a bunch of chain rifles or missile launchers that can see you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cal and Tony, what do you guys think? Is there anything that you guys really don't like in the rules right now?
I think I still need to get used to the crits. Crits doing 2 armor, I think I have to see how that actually works out, because that feels like that, it's good it's less impactful if your crit's like for an explosive hit. Because what's the difference between 3 and 4 armor saves, right? It's much less than 1 to 2, or for monofilament, going from 1 to 2 is still huge, because you can insta kill him twice. So I guess I just still feel how that works, because also then that does punish multi-wound slightly, especially low armor multi-wound. Mm-hmm. So you're like, in the future, especially in N4, your stuff like your Devas or somebody who has no wounding capacity but low armor can just get rocked by a crit from a normal combi rifle.
I'm just saying, I'm really crossing my fingers that Steel Phalanx is suddenly going to be like 15 to 17 order minimum. All that no wound in cap, and they're all just going to die from crits. So come on, make them cheaper. Come on, CB, do it.
So, NWI is missing from CodeOne.
Yeah.
And what they did is just fucking left them as 1 wound models. So without giving them an appreciable price difference. I
mean, Mahmoud went from being like a 40-point model to a 2-point model.
Yeah. Same with Gunnar. He's now like a 20-point model instead of a 30-point model by the old standard. So maybe they gave him a refund for removing things like Dogged and no wounding cap.
Yeah. But the Umbras didn't change. And
there's only the one Umbra, right? Or are there multiple?
Yeah. There's one. There's Norkius, who's a
Norkius is a monster, though. Yeah. So he deserves to have 1 wound until he eats somebody, because otherwise he'd just be a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I mean, being 6'2",
cheap, 3.5.
Plus, he's got a hacking device, so he can immobilize people and then just go up and be like, nom, 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 nom.
He's he's real bad.
He's a total dick.
We'll talk about characters in a minute, because we got some different ones, and there are half a dozen things to talk about there. But yeah, some NWI changes there are pretty wild.
Well, one thing too to think about, and it's kind of minor, but you don't have remotes that have 2 levels of unconscious anymore.
Yeah,
that might be a limitation, just because remote presence and all that stuff is it's not there. Affect the game too much and how it's played, but then with our specific tricks of it's slightly harder to move off the table, that's probably not necessary to capture the core gameplay.
Yeah.
Speaking of remotes, interestingly, they left in remote driver as a skill. Nothing has it at this point, but it sounds like it. I mean, based on
that sounds like it'll be that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, for the Apsara.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Aleph isn't in CodeOne, so why would you put that rule in unless there's going to be a new model that can do something?
There's some future proofing that they've put in, but I also don't think that we've seen the limit of. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe we have, right? What's an Akbar doctor? Doesn't need a new skill, or is it doctor +3?
Doctor +3.
Doctor +3.
Yep.
And
well, no.
Or no, yeah, I guess because that's just Doctor Plus.
That's
yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that we'll have to find out. I mean, I don't know that they'll have Akbar Doctor in CodeOne though.
Yeah.
Right.
I could see it very much just be the Doctor Plus.
One thing too that would be interesting in that same way is this REM driver rule that we just talked about. It doesn't have any stats attached to it at all. It just says you deploy a guy with a skill, put this marker on a remote that gets a buff until this guy dies. So that means you can have anything. It could be +2 BS. It could be +1 burst. It could be +1 wound. Or
if we give them mimetism, there's a lot of things that it could do that would be really interesting.
What if REM driver is a state that a hacking program provides?
It could be that, right? Of this hacking program grants the user the REM, the REM buff token, parentheses, +2 burst or marksmanship.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. So what do you guys think? Like, we've known for a while that we're only going to be 4. We know that supposedly we're not going to see too many new things until 2021. What do you guys think about that timeline, that release timeline?
I think that's actually the thing I don't like the most about CodeOne now that you mention it, because there really is no reason why every faction couldn't have their current box sets be converted into CodeOne. Most of the stats are the same. You could just run through the formula. A fan probably could convert that up real fast and real accurately. But
I think the thing is, though, is that then everything that they had in those would be tied into CodeOne. So it's going to be interesting to see how they decide to kind of move forward with factions. Because, like, if you have Ice Storm, you have a whole mishmash of Nomad units. But then also you have some units, like, is every unit in... I mean, I guess technically you could sort of use the Father Knight. But then you wouldn't have, some of the stuff is not there, is what I'm getting at. And it locks you into having those factions, whereas it seems like with the operations boxes, they're kind of building towards a sectoral for the most part. But we'll see. I mean, it is definitely kind of frustrating, but we're not going to see anything for another, probably 8 to 10 to 12 months.
I think the thing to keep in mind with CodeOne and N4, and I have a suspicion, and I don't know if it's true. I have no real evidence, but I have a suspicion that somebody talked to Gutierrez and he decided we're going to get rid of all these factions and start things from scratch. And then there was this huge outpouring of frustration and rage from a bunch of internet trolls and, also some reasonable people. And CB went, the rest of the staff went to Gutierrez and said, dude, you're going to alienate a lot of people if you just drop armies like that. And eventually they changed their minds, and I think they couched it well as a don't worry, we'll get everything out eventually. But I think the thing to keep in mind for CodeOne is the goal here is to reduce SKUs so that a friendly local game store, when they're open again eventually, can say, what is it I get to get into Infinity? To like have something on shelves, and they say, look, we've got 4 armies, they've each got a big box, a little box, and 4 blisters, or whatever it is, right? And that means there's a very finite amount of stuff that you need for a store to be able to get people into the game. And then N4 is going to have that whole slew of SKUs that you have to special order and whatnot.
So this is not a Gutierrez thing. I would put money on this. This is not his realm. Everything about this screams to me business process and logistics.
Okay.
Right. This is about product, and that's not what Gutierrez does. I'm sure he's a very smart and capable dude. That's not the point. But his focus is very different in the company, from my understanding. I think this is very much a product decision that is essentially worked with Gutierrez, and Gutierrez's job is to come up with the narrative reasons to support these aspects.
But I see this. It does make a lot of sense that point, though, right? Which is, let's say you're a store and you want to stock Infinity and you don't have a community yet. You're trying to build it. What do I do? And like our advice has so far been like buy one of every operation box, right? Whatever army box are around. If people like it, it'll be fine. You don't need to stock the 300, like 200 blisters and like the 100 4-person boxes that are floating around. So it makes sense of like, oh hey, this is CodeOne. It's 4 boxes of Pano, and 4 boxes of Eugene, and 4 boxes of Combined, and 4 boxes of O12. You can really have everything in like, in one shelf, in one small shelf.
Yeah, they actually have a breakdown at the in the back of the PDF, and it's pretty much, it's got like the the breakdown of how these things are going to be kind of divided up and all that, and it's like
6 products for each faction. Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, they're 1 blister and then and a number of boxes and then a big box.
Yeah.
And that's, your support pack and your tag are included in those boxes. I think even changing, like ultimately absorbing the Beyond boxes into the kind of the split faction boxes is a good idea as well.
Yeah, that's what they're doing with the, what do they call them? The advanced, no, something, action packs.
Yeah, I think that's what they're called for, like they've done that with O12 and combined. So if you missed out on the operation box, you don't have to try and find somebody to offload the other half on or, trade up or anything like that, which is kind of nice.
What's funny is that they have a tag box, like as in the Infinity CodeOne webpage, behind support pack and remote pack. The next one up is tag pack, and it even lists it out. And yet there are no tags in the armies right now.
They can, that is true. They can add that in as product becomes available. And but most importantly, cutter resculpt. Hell yeah.
The cutter is a beautiful sculpt. I was looking for it right now. The cutter is still an awesome sculpt. But you know who's not an awesome sculpt?
The Guija, the old one.
Yep. The old one.
This dude right here.
Dude, that guy's a beautiful sculpt. He's so funny. He's like a little skinny guy with like giant armor plates on him.
This guy falls apart when I breathe on him.
That is true. Those plates are like barely held on.
So you're saying that you didn't pin him. So that's all I'm hearing.
You pin a flat plate. It's like this. You just pin it. Yeah, you just pin it.
No, those giant like front chest plates are held in by like a toothpick connector.
Yeah.
You can't pin it.
Those things suck. Like, and if they had used that as the body,
if it exists, you can pin it.
I will trust you to do that. I'm not going to. But what's funny is like it looked like they were trying to decide that was going to be the base frame for all the kind of things, and then we'll just bolt some more armor on here, and we'll change out the arm and the weapon, right?
Yeah.
And then they just said "fuck it" and didn't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? What are the giant jet packs on the back that it's never going to use?
That's just so it can, continue to move under all that armor. It's got retro, it's got jump jets just so that its feet can lift off the ground and it doesn't fall over when it tries to step.
Carry the fact that it can carry a faction in 4 because now crits no longer harm it.
Yeah.
Because he's going to be sitting at armor 13 being like, oh, is that a normal heavy machine gun? Thank goodness I can save on a 3 against your crit.
Yeah.
Yeah, the change to crits is definitely going to make armor piercing so much more needed.
Yeah.
Like it's suddenly a much better weapon ammo type. Because that actually does carry over to the crit as well. So like if you get hit by explosive round, you may not care. If you get hit by an AP round, you're going to care a little bit more.
Yep.
A little bit.
I think I played a game against Kyle actually like years ago where you had Phoenix and he fired a heavy rocket launcher as an arrow on the first shot in the entire game. It crit my Jodam, which then like burned down. I'm like, that just happened. Okay.
Hey man, sometimes it just, that's not going to happen as much.
That's bullshit.
I think you also spitfired down one of my Jodams by critting it like 3 times.
That's a possibility. I have had some weird luck with those crits every now and then.
See, I like that you guys have a good time with that. What I have to do is coordinate like 4 Daylami over multiple rounds to get that damn thing.
Yeah.
You guys are like, I'll just crit it to death. I'm like, no, that's nice.
I mean, a lot of times I end up ignoring it.
You have the smoke to do so. Let's see. So let's talk. We'll recap before we kind of jump into the armies here, which I think is going to be some fun. It's going to be some tactical and tangible things. What do you guys think? 45 minutes, small battlefields. What do you guys think about doing a tournament? And then post-COVID world.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think a lot of the people who are playing Infinity are there for a little bit more complexity, but I think for those players who maybe don't have the time to spend all day, or if you want to do a 5-round event in one day, You could do that with a smaller point, shorter round, smaller mat. You can fit more people into a crowded space for those game stores that don't have a plethora of 4 foot by 6 foot tables.
That's a good point. The space is a really good point.
Mm-hmm.
Knocking that down is, I mean, that was one of your considerations, right, Tony?
Yeah, like doing the smaller table size, a 4x4, for example, is a fine table size for a 300 point, 30 point scenario.
Yeah.
But making it smaller is easier for people. Like a 24 by 32, you can find that surface almost anywhere. And
Also, just
games.
the amount of terrain that you have to have if you have the smaller table size as well.
That's right. Yeah, the one thing I think is that the game really reminds me of N2. Because back then, you didn't have nearly that many options before the first Human Sphere came out. And the only difference is it removed a few things it had, like impersonators or hidden deployment. But the idea of, okay, how do I maneuver gun into man is the point of this game. And I think that's like still a good game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't know about you guys, but I want to play a couple games of this because I want to see how some of these things tool out. I mean, this is so different than the way I normally play, right? I play sectorials not because they're overpowered, but because I like the theme, and that same situation doesn't really exist here. This is the game we're given. That changes the metrics on which that I'm trying to optimize my gameplay. Also, some of with the hackers, like midfield hackers, and those synergies and things sound a lot more interesting to me. And I think the gameplay is going to pop and be a little bit different. So I'm actually interested in playing some CodeOne because I've learned that other games will bring those tools back.
Yeah.
Have you taken a look at any of the scenarios yet?
No.
So one of the changes that I thought was pretty interesting is for firefight. So now you have for having more surviving specialists at the end of the game, it's 2 points, and having killed more is only 1 point. So you could kind of do something funny where you front load with a bunch of specialists, and then your opponent has to kill them all.
That fixes that problem, though, that those missions always had in the old tournaments, where you're like, cool, for this scenario, I'll bring 0 specialists, have fun. Or I'll bring like 1, and you won't kill them because I'll make it like a camo guy. You'll push the button at the end, and you'll never kill him, and I'll gain like 3 points, right?
Yeah. I mean, it is kind of funny because in this version of it, there is no nothing for those specialists to do other than be specialists. So you kind of have almost the opposite problem, where it's like, well, why wouldn't I bring everybody as a specialist?
Right.
But the other one that's pretty interesting is for supplies. To pick up a supply box, you have to be a specialist.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big change. Like, it doesn't require a roll to pick it up anymore, but that changes the dynamic of that, because if your specialist that has the box gets killed, nobody else can pick up that box.
Yeah.
So there's another thing is that Forward Observer is gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And and now there's a lot of these like random kind of specialist troops on the board, but is that really missing anything, or do you think we'll see it pop up? What do you guys think?
I think it'll come back.
Yeah.
Just because it gives you something that can do the targeted state that is not a hacker, and for those low tech factions like Ariadna or those weird tech factions like Toha, you kind of need to have that unless you want to put hackers into that. And it also is interesting because suddenly that's something that you will try a lot more often.
Yeah.
Now that it's not something that goes away.
The Forward Observer will definitely be back in N4. It'd be ridiculous not to, since guided and things like that have always been features. But in reality, how many times have you used the Forward Observer in N3 that wasn't actually just, this guy's a cheap specialist who gets a flashlight? And flash pulses were removed from this, I guess, to simplify it, and that's fine. Then it's just a specialist troop. Why make it more complicated?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's definitely, I think will be interesting to see if they do something, like they could actually do something similar to what Toha already has with the Pharaoh booster. And they could make it something like a tracer round that actually, can damage a unit. And even if it can't, like I still feel like being able to target somebody and the penalties that now sets on that unit for the rest of the game until they start spinning orders to get rid of it might actually be worth it, especially if you can ARO with it.
Yeah.
Like if you can ARO, target somebody, it's going to suck for them for the rest of that turn.
So what size game do you guys think is going to become most prevalent in tournaments? The reason I ask is because the size of the table is dependent on the army point, or in the army point total that you're playing. So like, I don't know, if you're playing 25 points, that's 32 inch by 48, and the 30 point is a full 48 by 48. So do you think we'll see more 25 point games to fit on more normalized table sizes? Because there are a lot more tables that are 3 feet across.
I don't think CodeOne is going to see that much tournament play, and I think that because are you guys familiar with Infinity Recon? It's like a third party independent. Somebody took most of the missions from, I don't know, season 9 or something, and made it is it 150 points? I think maybe 100 point, whatever it is. It's a smaller game, single combat group, and generally designed to be smaller, simpler, and quicker.
Yeah.
And it has no official support from CB for a tournament scene, and so we don't see a tournament scene, right? I've played it. I've played it with a bunch of people, but for the most part, the focus is tournament play. And I'm pretty sure that CB has said they're not going to support CodeOne for tournament play. They're going to continue to support N3 and then N4 for tournament play. And so I think that's where we're going to see it, because the big motivator for most tournaments is, at least for, a lot of players who are ranking, is to be in that ranking, to get that ELO score, to, win the prizes and get all that support CB's offering.
I think it really depends, because I think really the to Joel's question, I think the 4x4 is probably going to be most common, especially starting out, because that's what people already have.
Sure.
So it's regardless of the smaller table size being easier, you now have to have a smaller table size. So I think it's because of that, it'll probably be that 30 point, though you may see some. I think the tournament, it really comes down to whether or not you care too much about ITS, but as long as there's prizes and it's for a hangout, like, I don't see why it wouldn't be in a tournament. I think the big thing is that it's less. You don't need to memorize quite as much going into these things. The mental strain is not definitely, or the mental load that you have to carry throughout the 3-round tournament.
So the reason I say that is because a lot more bar tables are are workable with a 32-inch distance than the 48.
Yeah,
I think that this actually would be great to replace those escalation leagues and other kind of small people get started playing kind of scenarios, because it makes it simpler and it still has like a fairly even game, so that someone new isn't being like, oh cool, this is our 200-foot escalation league. Oh wait, what's an impersonator? And getting like weirded out by some of those interactions and stuff like that. All these things in Infinity where the meta crushes you because you've never encountered it before, of, oh, that's what an impersonator does, right? And I personally think the best game from my glance is probably the 25-point one, since that will be on a 32 by 48 table. So 32 is wide enough to fit on one of those standard card tables, like X-Wing, for example, is designed explicitly for that size so that it fits on common folding card tables. And 25 points is still enough for a lot of really good stuff without it getting too heavy in a 10-order list, where a Swiss Guard or a half cow is your most expensive thing and it costs 6. So that you got like
Yeah.
4 of them plus like 5 cheerleaders or 6 cheerleaders. That's a weird loadout, right? 25 means you have to cut and make more choices. So you have more like high-low balance decisions.
I kind of have this idea that like 25 might be this fun spot to be at because you can just play it wherever. I mean, most dining room tables are going to be able to support a 32 by 48, right? Most bar tables, if we go in and take a bar, can go do that, and so that's fun. And without us having to be too like crazy on, bringing in boards to set up tables. Anyway, that's my thought. You guys want to get into some of these profiles?
Yeah.
Do it.
Sure.
So I was thinking about this.
Let me grab a slightly bigger picture thing about profiles first.
Yeah.
So with the Kaldstrom box, right? All of the heavy infantry in that box are 6'2". Beyond that, there are some very interesting choices that at first glance don't make any sense to me. For example, the Xian and the Haktao have 6'2" movement. On the other hand, in Pan-Oceania, the Aquila Guard and the Swiss Guard are 4'4". At the same time, you might think maybe it's the Silhouette 5, the big guys that are slower, but the O12 big guy is a 6'2", while as the O12 Omega, which is the Silhouette 2 with ODD, is 4'4" movement. And so it seems kind of haphazard at this point, where I'm like, why did you make the choices that you made? Because they don't make any sense, at least in my mind.
Slapdash.
You know what? I'm good with that. It's more differentiation, and
Yeah.
it means like you can now suddenly, for example, the Haktao is very different than the Swiss Guard, right?
Yeah.
Even more so than what it used to be, and you can have more cool things like, oh, your big guy's 6'2" and mine's 4'4". That's a useful differentiation.
Yeah.
Even if that O12 big guy is 100% better in every single way than the Boig, sure, that's his gimmick. He's just better than you.
Right.
Yeah. And we don't know what's going to stay stable, right?
Right.
This is
Right.
CB. We've understood for a long time that quality control is not their strength.
Mm-hmm.
It's making beautiful models in a game that we all love and enjoy, and
Yeah.
with amazing background.
Mm-hmm.
I think when I say stuff like that, it makes sure I don't get banned.
I'm saying these new O12 Psycops who have shop community, a thing which doesn't exist in CodeOne.
Right. So let's talk about the new model profile. So those are going to be the models from Combined and O12, and then we'll get into more stuff. I don't know. We'll see where the night takes us.
Cool.
What do you guys want to talk about first?
Let's do the aliens, Combined Army.
Dunskies. So pretty. Okay, so what we got Agent Dukash of the Vashar Special Corps, which no one has any idea about this.
Yeah.
We've got Sargosh, the Tunnel Crumbler of the Jade Cutthroats. First of all, I love having named characters. And
Right?
I'm super excited that this dude.
I do like that especially because of the look of the JF Cutthroats. He's going to be like this big old muscly guy. It's going to be hilarious.
Yeah.
Big old muscly grub man.
Yeah. And then you've got Norkius, who famously killed Tony Makiana.
No, it's a lie. Tony lives.
Tony lives. I'm pretty sure he used Goodnight on her. That's my deal. Is this dude just get the Goodnight program and for.
Yeah, it's quite possible.
So Agent Dukash, I don't know. I mean, none of us know anything about what Bashar are, but that's cool. It may indicate that we do get like an additional type of main troop profile, the Bashar Special Corps, which are obviously Shasvasti.
No, he's not Shasvasti.
Oh yeah, he doesn't have the rule.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the thing that's more interesting about him. He might be a what are those guys called? The that are like trained by the Umbra.
Like the Nexus dudes?
Yeah. I'm kind of wondering if he'll be a Nexus operative type of guy, because I mean the Bashar special core could be just a division or something like that.
Right.
Yeah. They have drastically different stats than Nexus or Nexi.
No.
Yeah. But
hey, maybe it's a Rad Morat.
So he's in the army builder for CodeOne, but if you look at him, his stats are very not CodeOne. There's a bunch of things in here that don't exist in CodeOne. Like, well, actually, no, they all are here, but if I assume that we carry this on into normal Infinity, he has BS attack +2 damage.
Yeah.
What?
That seems to be a fatality.
Yeah, exactly.
Fatality level 2 now.
But now
like if you look at well, that's what Shishkin has as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this dude also has fatality level 2. Okay. Yeah. So he's a 21, 13, 13, 14 with 2 armor and 3 BTS, 1 wound. But we can assume he has NWI. Right?
Probably, yeah.
For 30 points, he probably should have. Martial arts level 1. He does fatality level 2 or BS attack +2 damage. He has dodge +3. Right?
Yep.
Yeah, dodge on a 16. That's not too bad.
Yep. Actually, that's the only thing that's close to a Nexus, because they have hyperdynamics too as well.
Yeah.
He's his dodge +1 and he's specialist operative. Multi-rifle, nanopulsar, heavy pistol, and he can be a lieutenant, which I'm very excited about, because lieutenant options are really rough in Combined Army overall. Probably the worst is in Morats, but whatever. So this guy in general, if he's like 30 some odd points with fatality, I mean, he seems pretty legit.
He's got a damage 15 multi-rifle and a damage 15 nanopulsar and a damage 16 heavy pistol.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
He is interesting that they managed to create a new profile that does spend a lot for CC, where you're not really ever going to want to get this guy into close combat.
He's an all-arounder, right?
I somewhat disagree. CC 21 and martial arts level 1, like that's when you have somebody where you're close to a mimetism -6 guy,
right?
And you're gonna have trouble dealing with that guy. So you move into close combat. They either then have to decide if they're going to dodge your nanopulsar, or just get punched in the face.
Right.
So I think that he's spending those points. I guess being 1 wound is kind of the big drawback for that, because you don't necessarily want to peace trade him. But I do like those guys with just a slight bit over 20, and if you can put some martial arts, I feel like they're good for cleaning up non-CC units.
That's fair.
I mean, he's dodging on a 16 as well. He dodges better.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah, pretty good. His damage potential in close combat is 14. So it's not bad. He gives a -3 out. That's pretty great. I mean, it feels like it's better, at least. I don't know. I like this guy. I liked it. I mean, for 2.5 more, you get Cheskin. So there's that.
He's pretty cool, but at the same time, I think he might suffer if this is his exact N4 stat line and things are kind of what we expect, because he's one of those glass cannon kind of guys where the only thing keeping him alive is arm 2, which is not a great defense if your guy is like 30 odd points.
Yeah. Right. If I assume he's got NWI. Let's assume that. I think that makes sense for his first point total. But yeah.
And just for being a hero. I mean, all the heroes that we've seen so far seem to have something similar to that.
I don't know. He reminds me a lot of N3 Gunnar, right? Who doesn't have that and kind of stinks.
He's got Dogged.
Dogged, that's true. He does have Dogged.
Yeah.
He's got something at least.
All right, so let's see. So next we got Sargosh, who is a multi-rifle and light grenade launching wielding JF.
So cool.
And what's great about this is a couple of the JFs, the ones that had actual shooting capabilities, that multi-spectral visor one is actually pretty good. They're good hunters, I mean,
yeah.
He's got martial arts too, like they all do. mean, a little bit better close combat dude. Yeah, for 3, this guy's the same price. This guy is the same price. But gives you like grenade launcher, which is cool.
Mimetism -6, so he has ODD, which will make him a lot more survivable.
Yeah.
And martial arts harder. And yeah, I mean, the only thing he's missing out on really is that nanopulsar instead of a grenade launcher and the +2 damage, which I think is a good trade. He seems badass here.
But he's MA2, so I mean he's hitting
better, yeah,
really hard in close combat with a CC-24.
Though his biggest problem is that is if he tries to shoot that light grenade launcher.
Where
it doesn't exist in CodeOne.
Yeah, it's another weapon that doesn't exist in CodeOne.
Yeah.
Suddenly you're idling a lot with him.
Right.
Let's see, and let's go to Norkius. So Norkius is he's Ember Samaritan, pretty standard. CC's 25. I think they're 24 normally.
Yeah.
MA4, but he also gets his +1 burst on the active turn. Mm-hmm. He's dodging on 15s. He's dodging 4 inches, super jump, and he's got Protheon. And he comes stock with a breaker combi, and you can also get hacking devices and DA close combat weapons. So this guy can 3.5 for 1 more point than Victor Messer. You get a guy who can you can do almost anything, right?
Yeah. Oh, he's
everywhere.
I mean,
yeah,
he
suffers. Pretty fantastic.
He suffers from being a 1 moon model for 35 points, but if he can get the Protheon off, suddenly he's very much not a 1 moon model anymore.
Yep. And no one's going to survive that because he's actually CC-28 because of martial arts with 2 bursts. And so that with the double action, he'll chop anybody up.
And
the martial arts is giving him, he's hitting on 15.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
and that now that you're getting the DA weapon added into your Protheon as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brutal. You know what sucks is they took Protheon away from Kodali.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she didn't deserve it.
No more for you.
And they changed her pistols. Not only did she not deserve it, but they also didn't really drop her points down.
Mm-hmm.
She's still the
You know what? Then Norkias, he has dodge +2 inches. So that means he is dodging 4 despite his second movement being 2. So he definitely could benefit from the I will roll dodge to go faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if he's super jumping, he dodges. If he jumps and then dodges, can he jump 10 inches?
No. So that's actually the really funny thing. Super jump is not as good as it used to be. Because there is no falling in CodeOne. So you have to track your movement even with your super jump. There's no exception in the rule for super jump.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't do like the jumping 6 inches up into the air to see somebody, shoot them, and then fall back down. You could only jump 3 inches because you'd have to use the other 3 for jumping back down, basically.
That's probably for the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, lots of what we were doing at the end of N3 was rocket jumping with Hollow Men or whatnot. So let's slow it down a little bit.
Okay, so what do you guys think about those named characters? I think that they are, like in true Combined Army fashion, are brittle.
Yeah.
They seem fun though.
Yeah, they seem. I mean, they're good, right? They're really good, except for the 1 wound. And something that I think is very interesting in CodeOne, and I doubt will hold up in N4, there is no loss of lieutenant. So the only thing you're doing by making one of these awesome badasses your lieutenant, right? Norkius, for example, can, given some creativity, kill just about anything and accomplish your missions as a hacker. And your lieutenant, he gets an extra order to do it. And the only benefit, the only drawback for that is when he dies, you don't get the lieutenant order anymore.
Yeah.
So one thing I was thinking about too with that resolution step of the dodge, you could potentially use that to dodge through an area I think actually no, you already brought that up. You can dodge through the trigger area of a mine depending on where it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Actually,
So that can make things a lot of fun.
Here's a question. Could I then go up to a corner where your guys are on the other corner and you can't see me? Then I declare dodge. I roll because no one can see me and like fly into you into melee.
I don't know. Probably.
Potentially.
Yeah.
I mean, they can all dodge because, you know, they might have an idea of what you're up to if you're within 4 inches.
Right.
Right.
Because if you're within zone of control, they can still dodge and try to move away from you. So yeah.
That's right.
But-
So that could be interesting.
Yeah.
But he is 2 inches faster than your dodge. So
And how likely are you with a -3 versus his at a +3?
that could be
Okay.
cool.
So let's go visit the UN, right?
Which one?
Let's
Space
go
Force.
check out O12 because one of the more uniquely named characters in Infinity. They're 2 of the most uniquely named characters, and I feel like what was it, that British warship, that British ship that they like crowdsourced the name, and it was like Bodie McBoatface.
Yep.
Like that's how you get Cuervo Goldstein.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Or because you're playing a role-playing game and you're like, you know what? My character's going to be named Cuervo Goldstein. And everybody's just like,
Because he's a tequila drinking Zionist.
he's an old man. He's just, you know, he's the most interesting man in the world. He looks like that guy.
He just has an office job, blue collar office job or white collar office job, and then every now and then he's like, "Oh crap, I got to be on para jump duty today." Good thing
Yeah.
I kung fu.
So
Like,
the
where's
next ridiculous name is Casanova, the knock operative. And I'm
Oh, yeah.
curious if they mean knock as in non-official cover, which is kind of a famous agency term. Essentially, those people who go undercover and use fake names to, exercise, strategic intent. So Casanova is, I don't know, he's a forward deploy guy, and he's got ODD. He has hyperdynamics, specialist operative, and MA3. BS13, great. Physique is 11, and pushed up to 14. Arm 1, BTS 6, 1 wound. CC's 21 with MA3. Submachine gun, nanopulsar, pistol, and mono. There's a lot of mono in O12. That's weird.
Yeah.
There's a lot more mono just in the game in general, it seems like.
It
Because
does.
Mammoth has it as well.
Yeah.
mean,
Such so expensive.
Mehmet's Eugene, so he has an excuse. But this is interesting. It's another glass cannon, but he at least has -6 to hit.
Yeah.
And he's forward deployment, so he's already a little bit where you want him.
Right, but very little shooting ability. Just a simple submachine gun and BS13. But
Yeah.
Don't know what to
Yeah.
make.
I think you can leverage the ODD or -6 and the zero arrangement of the submachine gun well enough in most cases.
Yeah.
But I think relying on submachine guns, I know people say they're really good, but that 8 to 16 inch band, when you don't have the +3 bonus, can be pretty brutal if you're trying to move around.
What'll I think gauge his value is in for what happens with suppressive fire and submachine guns in general. That's a big unknown. It was always really weird how suppressive fire worked in N3, and so that's something I could imagine changing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's changed with every major edition.
Oh yeah, N2 suppressive fire is very different, completely different rule.
It's very much like XCOMs.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where you had kind of a narrow window, right?
Yeah.
Or is that
You made
from the previous one?
The old one was you made a corridor, like a big with a millimeter base size mark at the end, and you just pull a reaction, everything in between.
Yeah.
So I mean, he seems okay. He seems fine. Would you pick him or would you pick Sargosh, the JF?
Oh, I'd pick the Jaith guy.
Sargosh.
It's good. The extra 8 inches, I mean, that makes you popular with the ladies and everything, but like, I don't know if it's worth it.
I think it's worth it.
I just look up and I just see that majestic beard, and it just makes me laugh.
Thank you.
So I think he's all right. Yeah, I agree with you guys. I mean, he's fine. He can go capture stuff. That's cool. He's a -6 step dude and go grab some supplies.
Yeah.
Oh, 12 has a lot of stuff that goes in the midboard. A lot.
Yeah. I think that's the main thing is how well you support him. You can have quite a bit of overlap that'll help out with that, I think.
So let's go. We got Cyclops next. And Ensign Cho has not been doing what the other Cyclops have been doing.
Right. Yeah, because she's a Psy unit, not a Psy cop.
Right.
She's definitely a unit.
She's like the one that, she's the works in the records department or something like that.
Yeah.
These guys strike me as the ones in the Infinity CodeOne builder that have some critical rule removed from N4.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like if they're hollow units or something.
What's weird is like O12 is definitely like where Ariadna is maybe the one thing that O12 they took something from all the other major factions. What they took from Ariadna was just a step down version of camouflage on everything. Everything has got mimetism, like everything.
Yeah,
including these dudes.
So
about the new units that they added.
Yeah. The thing that really gets me about these is they have shock immunity in a game where shock ammunition doesn't exist.
Right.
And they've got an irregular order, right? They've got an irregular order on one of them.
Why do they have an irregular? Wait, what?
Right?
No.
Yeah. First guy with the combi rifle generates an irregular order.
That's not visible in the browser version, just in the app. So that might actually be a bug.
Yeah.
But that'd be a cool thing if that happened to be like some feature in the real version.
Yeah.
What's interesting is that's the guy who's 1.5. But
Oh yeah, interesting. When you add him in the army builder, it gives you an irregular order.
Sorry.
But it doesn't actually say anything about him.
Huh.
So I don't know. I'm not sold on that being an actual thing. I think that might be a bug.
Okay, so I'm calling it now. This is my favorite O12 list because it's stupid and makes me happy. Which is you can get 5 units with mimetism -6 and 5 units with mimetism -3 and a bunch of multispectral visors and all fit within that point limit.
So lame. But this is an interesting profile, right? They're BS13 with mimetism.
Yeah.
Specialist operative with a combi, 2 nanopulsars. Then you've got a MSV1 with a marksman rifle, 2 nanopulsars. And then you've got that same guy from above who's a specialist operative, but he upgraded to a hacking device. This is one of those units in O12 especially that you're like, yeah.
I mean, it strikes me as another place where I think people are still going to complain about Pano and Pano being a mistake for a very long time because it's the thing to do. But what's really interesting about O12 is they get those BS 12 to 14 guys all over the place and stack modifiers as well or better than Pano does. And
well, you know why, though, right?
Because they are Pano.
No, it's because Pano was a mistake. This is the improvement.
Yes. Yeah. Actually, I'm looking at the profile right now. This guy's awesome because for 1.5 cost points, so about 15, 18, 19 in N3 terms, he is a BS 13, Whip 13, BTS 6 dude who's mimetism, a specialist, has a combi and a double nanopulsar and a heavy pistol. That's a lot.
Yeah, he's liking the heavy pistol.
Like the double nanopulsar is useful, super useful, and he has the mimetism. Yeah. He's entirely reasonable. Like that's
starting in the deployment zone though. He's not for deploying at all. So getting him up into that combi and nanopulsar range is orders.
Yeah,
but he
it
still
can be a hassle. I do like. I mean, I'm actually really liking the multispectral visor marksman rifle.
Yeah, no, that
I
was
mean, for
great.
2 points, that's not bad at all.
Yeah.
right.
Especially with the smaller table sizes.
And
Right.
up close, the heavy pistols or dual nanopulsers you if you try to underrange his marksman rifle.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's an all-arounder, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually done well and is very slimmed down and like it's at physique and armor, right? You just drop it down.
Mm-hmm.
The shock immunity is kind of fun too with the change to paramedics. I mean, once that actually becomes a thing.
Yeah.
True.
So I just thought about this. I'm sorry, go ahead, Obi.
Oh no.
So the next unit up on the list is Crushers, which are special naval demolition teams.
Without demolition charges? What?
There's no D charges in CodeOne.
I know, but it's still funny.
Hey, Concilium Watch says no.
And what's also funny to me is Crusher is Dan Barnaby,
Yeah, I was a little disappointed that they're not dog warriors.
and he's a former Marine, right?
Yeah.
So, also very cool. This is an interesting one because you got very different things. Essentially, this is your Kodali-ish person.
Yeah.
Mimetic specialist, BS-13, Arm 2-3, like medium infantry. He is medium infantry. Submachine gun. Yeah, nanopulsar, close combat weapon, 4 deployment, +8, and he's 2 points. And then compare that to what we just looked at for the Psycop, and you get essentially the same thing for 1.5. And then you get the multi-rifle, 4 deployment, +8 for 2.5. And then you get the AD combat jump crusher with a boarding shotgun for 3. So I feel like this is one of those, like, when you see the full profile, there's got to be some other stuff there.
Well, there's also the Crusher's got forward deployment, or the third option with the boarding shotgun is an AD troop.
Right.
Right, which is significant.
Right. Yeah.
But it's also got a higher physique, better armor than the Psycop, and
Yeah.
I don't know if that's 3-4 points,
Yeah.
right? The marksman rifle for 2 versus the multi rifle for 2.5. I could see that.
On the theme of O12, which is remixed other faction units, this dude's a Tiger Soldier.
Yeah.
He's got combat jump, and now that shotguns throw templates, that's the flamethrower.
Yep. Well, no, because he's got the nanopulsar too.
Well, the jumper doesn't.
Yeah.
The guys who don't have shotguns have the nanopulsar, because that's redundancy, right? If shotguns now are template weapons, I'd rather hit you with 2 shotgun blasts than 1 nanopulsar most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Good catch there. That's part of the fun with O12 is figuring out like where they were birthed from.
Right.
So you want to know what's slightly sad is that Tiger Soldier now does not have the slash infiltration.
Oh, bummer.
So I think that might just be for
it's slash multi-terrain.
Multi-terrain.
is it slash multi-terrain?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I thought they had some type of forward deployment.
Honestly, I was really hoping for a Tiger Soldiers with multi-terrain fire team, but sadly, it didn't happen. Instead, it was a smorgasbord of why the fuck is this all in white banner?
Oh, okay. I'll make one correction. That shotgun Tiger Soldier exists, and he is half a point in CodeOne cheaper.
All right.
Slightly better.
Not a specialist operative though.
Not a specialist operative. That's right. So that's what the difference is.
So here's a thing that is possibly reaching a little bit. But if you look at these first 2 profiles, the submachine gun is 2 points with a nanopulsar pistol CC weapon forward deployment 8 inches. The second profile is exactly the same, except instead of a submachine gun, got a multi-rifle. Now, my math may be wrong, but in N3, a multi-rifle is about 9 points more expensive than a submachine gun.
Except for all those guys that we've recently seen, which is great. Like I think that is boding well for multi-rifles being more affordable.
Yes, and because this looks like it'd be in the order of 4 to 6 points more expensive than a submachine gun.
Well, this is a question because I think from looking through most of the profiles, it looks like all the points were just rounded down. That's
Yeah.
why, for example, like the medic is like 1 instead of 1.5s, right? For
Right.
14-point doctors. So that means maybe the submachine gun guy who's 2 code 1 points is 20 points, and the multi-rifle guy is 29 points, which makes him 2.5.
Yeah.
It's possible.
So maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, it depends on if you're looking at like the stuff that we've already seen from White Banner with the Ye Mao, who just like everybody's like, oh yeah, I have the multi rifle.
Yeah.
And
Karhu.
yeah, Karhu. Those guys are pretty fun.
You take 4 deltas.
Yep. No, Ocho was brutal. Being able to field 10 visual mod guys, that's horrifying.
Yeah.
Also worth noting, they've got a gangbuster, and there's only one, and it's the one with the boarding shotgun, and neither of the map traps.
Yeah, because that's the one that comes in the box.
And there's no other way anyone is going to use that model.
You know.
Well, I guess I have mine as a Liberto proxy.
And also
Right.
now that, you know, you've got a boarding shotgun as a direct template, that could be kind of fun.
There you go. But the other guys have the glue gun.
Leon,
Yeah, glue gun's not as fun now that it doesn't just stick you forever.
That's fair.
you guys see that Leon Kai got a combat rifle?
Who's that? Oh, nice.
Didn't he have a combi rifle? Or was he just
Yeah.
or was he just light shotgun?
Oh, he's got a chain rifle light shotgun.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
now
okay.
he gets a combat
Yeah, he's
rifle.
got
for-
Oh, yeah. He's got a
Yeah.
combo.
For 2 points.
All right.
What- He's 1.5. He's 1.5 in his base version.
He was
He's
22 and
Yeah.
3, right?
Was
Yeah.
that?
He was
Well, he
20
also had an explosive close combat weapon, and martial arts level 4 was much better.
Yeah. And he had a
And
five.
he had assault. Yeah, he had quite a bit more.
Yeah.
Like no wound in cap as well.
Actually, I think current level 4 is better than old level 4. Just because the +3 -3 was better than burst 2 with no mods most of the time. But that's
It
pretty-
depended.
Yeah, if you're above CC 23, I think mathematically it works out that higher burst is better at that point.
I mean, I think the thing is that it's not so much that it's better. It depends on what your definition of better is. With
Sure.
the extra burst, you're more likely to do damage, but you are more likely to get damaged in return.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're just doing the other one, you're basically more likely to either do damage or make it a wash.
Right. Right.
But
Okay.
there's nothing better than a burst 2 explosive CCW.
Well, except now his DA CCW is PH16.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty.
That's
Another-
pretty great too.
I'm going to be real sad if Achilles loses that burst 2 on his close combat weapon.
So, so let's go to some of the other ones. Since you guys have brought up a couple, we've been talking about. There's been some Eugene stuff. Let's look at the Eugene things. I think the Hundun ambush unit is surprising in that it does not have hidden deployment like everyone thought it was going to.
Well,
I think
Go ahead.
I think that's just because nothing in CodeOne is supposed to have hidden deployment, except for this ninja who's hiding out until somebody catches him. And they're like, "Wait a minute, you're supposed to be in the Japanese army.
Right.
Yeah.
Get
That's-
out of
that's
here,
true.
you scamp!"
It's not in the rule set for CodeOne. But this ninja clearly has like a full N4 profile because he has like 9 more rules.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. And just so everyone who was like, I hope the submachine gun guys get some kind of special ability, like some like specialists. Well, they're not specialists.
yeah. But submachine gun with
So
a DA weapon, you might take that over a bow.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean the kunai doesn't have hidden deployment either.
Right. None of the TO guys do. And they're definitely going to keep that in the game. Yeah, no, like they're interesting. Ujak, Korean shock infantry. The basic dude, heavy infantry, BS 13, 2 wounds, is 2 cost points.
Yep.
Those guys are gross.
Awesome. For 6'2" movement?
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
heavy flamethrower.
With a heavy flamethrower. That's the thing that's so mean. 6'2" movement with a heavy flamethrower. Good God.
Yeah. Wait. How is this guy so cool when the terracotta soldiers, the Zuyongs, they're still 2.5 for a combi with no flamethrower?
Doesn't make any sense.
You know what? The terracotta soldiers are just, they're mass produced, and they just put a different head on them. It's not as great as everybody thinks. I mean, the orc outruns them. Just gonna put that out there.
Yeah.
Is it the CC? Is that the difference?
It's 1 physique less and 1 CC less, and that's it.
Yeah.
So, have you guys looked at the lieutenant option with the HMG?
Oh, for the Zuyong?
Yeah.
Regeneration?
Yeah.
Regeneration MG.
Yeah, regeneration's rad on the Zuyong.
Oh, yeah. For 1 and 3.5.
So the other thing that we're noticing is it's done during the steps phase.
Yeah.
So you can potentially do that on both yours and your opponent's step phase. Because I believe you check steps for everybody.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That gives a ton of value to regen and auto med kit being rolled into regen because they kind of do the same thing.
Yeah.
Especially on multi-wound units.
Right. Now it's just like, oh, cool. He can choose to like heal back up to full at the risk of dying if he's at 1 wound, or pick himself back up.
Yeah.
Does he have to be
that
conscious?
actually, no, I don't think so.
No, regeneration, you don't have to be unconscious.
I could double check that if they changed it, but I'm pretty sure I was looking at that and it didn't seem like they did.
Yeah.
The real funny thing too is that with the change to when your unconscious state is canceled, you stand up. Suddenly, regeneration can be really fun for a ARO piece.
Yeah. Because you can pop up at the beginning of your opponent's turn.
Yeah.
Shang-Chi are still expensive.
Yeah. They don't have
6'2" movement now, though. They're pretty fun.
Yeah. Yan Ho became faster, which people complained about. I don't really know why.
Shang-Chi all got chain colts. I don't remember them having chain colts back when. The
Who's
small
that?
little buff.
Shang-Chi?
Shang-Chi have HMGs, which they did not used to have, and chain colts.
Yeah. They did get HMGs. That changed around the time we started, I think, when we saw White Banner come out.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, for 2 and 44.
Yeah.
But instead, this HMG is 0.5.
Oh yeah, that's a low SWC HMG, so that's actually
ridiculous.
That's interesting. Yeah.
I wonder if that's a mistake.
I mean, it's your lieutenant, so that could be possibly why, because in a lot of the CodeOne missions, you want to kill the lieutenant. So, but I don't know.
You know, one thing I just noticed: 2 SWC barely seems to exist in the CodeOne rules. Even things like the Yan Hos, they're all 1.5. The Hack Cows are all 1.5.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if those will change when things start getting hit in deployment, like in getting all their other rules.
Yeah.
Guilong correct lieutenants are 2, so it does exist in some form.
Wait, which one does?
The Guilong skirmishers, their lieutenant option costs 2 SWC.
Yep.
Huh.
Still.
Weird.
Yeah. Maybe because of the marker state?
It might just be carryover, right? Yeah, marker state lieutenant, since I think the Crocmen are the exact same as well for their lieutenant.
Yeah. Did Shangying Imperial agents always have chain colts?
No, they have light flamethrowers.
Did they?
I don't think so.
They have light flamethrowers.
They have 6
that's sensor.
You're talking about, you saying Shang-Chi?
No, Zhanying.
launching.
No, they did not have those. They also, they also have a skill that's not in.
Right.
Seems to be an oversight. Sixth Sense doesn't exist, but it looks like there's no level to it, which is interesting. They could have changed that quite a bit.
That's good. Like, because Sixth Sense level 2 is the one that everyone cared about, so you didn't get jumped on by like a surprise attack. And you did level 1 were just like, okay, it rarely comes up unless you're a Chasseur, which we'll see what on earth happens to those guys.
Yeah. All right.
So
do they have para CC -6 weapons?
Mm-hmm.
they had electric pulse.
Yeah.
Which
Did
is
they?
what basically seems to be taking over.
Right.
Like Yao Zhao have a para weapon, but it's only -3. So that's actually a good segue into Mammoet,
Mm-hmm.
because he's got a para CC weapon -6. He's got martial arts level 2, so he's putting you at a -3 for that. And he's got a CC attack -3, so he can, if he's using his para close combat weapon, he's putting you at a -12.
And he's getting an automatic 7.
No,
Yeah? Because the para CC weapon still has that trait.
Right.
Automatic 7.
does it? Oh, I did not notice that.
In the army builder, so this may or may not be a bug of.
Oh no,
like,
that's definitely a bug.
yeah. I don't think automatic is anywhere in the CodeOne rules.
Okay.
Well, I can't say definitely, but I have a high suspicion since it's only in the army builder.
But you are right. He is pretty cool at like, you're coming with me alive, because he's going to dump on you at CC 26 and you're at a -9.
Yeah, and then he can chop you in half with his monofilament weapon.
Oh, sorry. He has CC attack -3. So I'm assuming that means that he implies an additional -3 on you.
That's correct.
In addition to his martial level 2.
That's correct.
Yeah. So he is putting you at a -12, and he's at 26.
Yep.
Sweet. My Fusilier hits you in close combat on like a 1.
Yeah, and accidentally crit and kill him, and you'd be like, ah.
What's great is actually putting him up against even against a tag is like he could kill it with his mono, or he can capture it and immobilize it.
Yeah.
Well, you immobilize it, and then you snicker snack with your Vorpal weapon.
Yeah, since he still has the monofilament. And
Yeah.
in this form that he's showing up in CodeOne, he's really lean, so he's only 2 points. So that's actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 points is ridiculous.
Yeah, he is very powerful.
3.
All right.
And that's actually the thing that's more kind of interesting too, is the change to super jump actually makes climbing plus allow you to be a little more maneuverable than it used to be, that it seemed like super jump was the better one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like climbing plus now is
a giant tower that took more than one order to go up, right?
Yeah.
Lei Gong is much cheaper because he doesn't do that much.
Yeah, he doesn't have chain of command. And so that,
He also doesn't have albedo,
that's
Yeah.
right.
which is kind of his big draw. But marksman rifle is not so bad. He is also not in WI anymore.
He's just a dude now. It's like,
Yeah.
took away all the
6'4" or 6'2" move.
He's
That's about
he's
it.
his young version, before he's powered up after the years. He's like,
Yeah.
With his Garuda wings.
since
This
he's,
is him in his Aristea days, before he got all the extra sweet equipment.
he's Rocky in the sporting montage when he gets beat up and is about to quit before he gets all puffed.
Oh man, I love it.
yeah, Mauer is still really good.
Yeah.
All right. So I feel like we've got a lot of really good changes, a lot of really promising things.
Yeah.
Some bugs definitely that need to get worked out, just like every product that Corvus Belli has released. But yeah, I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, I still can't complain about a free army builder.
Right.
I guess the one thing that's interesting, there doesn't really seem to be many characters for O12, or not for O12, for Pano. I think we're still waiting on what's her name, Uma.
Yeah.
But I feel like there should be like one more.
Well, I hope they fix Uma
We'll see.
or otherwise she's staying in the bin.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's-
I think for CodeOne she'd probably be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, she could definitely use a little bit of rework, because she's like 40 points.
Close to it. 37.
35, yeah. 37, yeah.
Yeah, she could use a little help.
Yeah, meanwhile, like again, lean Gunnar here, like we talked about, being 2 cost points for being decent enough martial art, climbing plus, good guns. That's not bad. That's entirely serviceable for 2 points.
Yeah.
I don't think he can fight well against Mehmet though.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, he wants his berserk back.
Yeah.
Before he goes into that fight.
Mehmet still knows kung fu, and he kind of like took a course in like elementary school or something.
See,
Yeah.
but the thing is Mahmoud. Oh no, wait, no, you can't throw the trench hammer. Never mind.
Double action for a combo weapon. Yeah. One small change, which I do like actually, is both the Hisin warriors and the Aquila Guard got marksman rifles.
Yeah.
The AP marksman rifle in place of the multi rifle, and the Hisin got a normal marksman rifle and faster. And so, like, that's kind of nice because that really helps with these guys in being able to fight at range, and it gives them more differentiation from Orc with MSV.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't catch that change on the Shin.
I am disappointed that the Shan missed out on the AP because I think that's going to be, with the crit system, I think it's really significant having AP on an expensive piece like that.
Right. But instead he has the AP close combo weapon, enough martial arts to actually fight somebody to death, and nanopulser, which is like a lot of like versatility.
Yeah.
In exchange for the better marksman rifle, the MSV3 and the BS15.
Right.
And he still has an AP embedded option, which is much better than the Aquila's version.
Right. Yeah, I like it.
All the drones got much better in close combat. Like much. It's so weird.
Yeah, though now they're not just automatically paralyzing people, so you know,
You
win some, you lose some.
I definitely do agree overall with that earlier comment I think Kyle made, which was all the total reaction drones are all going to be rock stars in CodeOne.
Yeah.
So pop except for the Q drone, and that's a really good ability.
Yeah.
So Kyle.
Yeah.
The one thing that's nice about this Yin with the marksman rifle, you take him as lieutenant. He's got the +1 SWC.
Oh yeah, and I think all of the heavy weapon options that Yuching's got, it's still real good.
Yeah. But yeah. Sorry to I was just looking at comparing some stuff.
Yeah.
I just noticed that.
Tiger shoulder. Oh yeah, no, never mind. I thought they got to work on their formatting a little bit.
Yeah.
Like sometimes combat jump comes first, and sometimes parachutist comes first.
Sometimes pistols come first over their rifle, and vice versa. Yeah, there's still the usual glitches, like we said.
Yeah.
So I missed it. I got excited. I was like, oh, maybe they're just parachutists. That'd be different.
Yeah. The Jujak Korean infantry do have D-charges and a Panzerfaust, both of which again don't exist in CodeOne. Oh man.
Where's that Panzerfaust?
He's the engineer. He's just loaded with explosives.
Yeah.
It is. Unlike the Crushers.
Right. But he looks pointed as if he is just the engineer because he's only half a point more than the basic dude. But has all that stuff.
So okay, let's take a look. So projecting forward, like what do we think? I mean, is the Jodam just going to be 10 points? Is the Guija going to be 8 points?
Could be, yeah.
I think things will be. I mean, if we look at something like Kodali, I think she was one of the more expensive pieces in CodeOne. She's 5.5 for the Red Fury.
Jessica?
I mean, yeah.
Yep.
I mean, really, I could see some of the tags being 7. You know, basic language, maybe 7.
I mean, the Hack Tau is still 6. The
Swiss
Swiss Guard is still 6.
Yeah, Swiss Guarders.
Oh, that's right.
I'd say
Yeah.
they're like
They're probably starting 8. You're probably right.
like 8 to 11, and maybe tags will get some mechanical changes, right? Since people have talked about that and they've bolted every single season rule to say like, oh, tags are now attack aware and fatality and et cetera, et cetera. So maybe they'll just
they actually don't even have any rules for them. So
Yeah.
There's a lot of changes that they could implement.
right.
They may just generate 2 orders or take up 2 slots in your combat group or something.
Ooh, 2 slots in a combat group. That's some.
That's a downside. That's a
But if they generate 2 orders, it's still a downside, but it also helps mitigate the fact that you can only bring 10 troops, and if you've got a dude who's 11 points or whatever, if he's taking up 2 slots and providing 2 orders, then it's something.
Yeah. It could just be that tags get a bigger stat line of rules, just because you're only ever going to field 1 in a list, maybe 2 if you're doing a gimmick, right? And so it's okay for them to have a bigger pile of stats and stuff because they're more rare and special, and they're big. So you obviously know that big guy does something cool.
Right.
I'm curious. I would love to see a resculpted Sphinx and Jodam.
Yeah.
Well, we're getting both, or at least the Sphinx.
I mean,
I think they're doing the cutter, right?
Yeah, we just got a great model.
Regis model's beautiful.
And you got to do the Zeta as well. That'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I don't know what I feel about the Zeta.
It doesn't live up to the hype of the most dangerous weapon in the human sphere.
Right. And then you can do it with it. You can do the exact same thing with a freaking, almost the exact same thing you can do with Yanho. So.
Yeah.
Hey man, climbing plus is sweet.
Yeah.
Yep.
And glue gun is also really funny. But it'll be definitely interesting to see what all these things end up looking like, and as far as points and even just how tags work, because there's a lot of. I mean, that's one thing that I'm kind of curious about, because there's no rules that actually address tags at all, except for prone.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if they're going to have minus to dodge and those type of things built into them, or if suddenly those guys that have Fizz 17 are dodging at a Fizz 17.
What if they're in the box? The rules are in the box. You know what I mean?
Maybe
it comes out like the box.
It's possible. I mean, it would be interesting though, because then they're building on this PDF that they just released immediately, or semi immediately.
I mean, that's true. Yeah. They can update the PDF, right?
Yeah.
But that could even be just a dodge -3 or dodge -6, right? Those are
right. That could be in their stats.
Yeah.
Oh, that's actually something to think about. That's funny, is that remotes don't have that.
Right.
Yeah.
So remotes actually are now just dodging on normal.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Which is
good one. Good catch.
But then, that could be cool, because then you could have your different tags have different numbers. So, maybe the Guija's gimmick is it dodges really well, so it doesn't have that rule. But the Jodam, because he's physique 18, he might have dodge -9 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, even I think it would be interesting to see tags with just a physique -3 for their dodging.
It's more brutal. So
and then
rule.
No, these are that's one of the things that they said, was that by breaking these things apart, they can really start to mess with some smaller aspects, right?
Yeah, because not every tag has to be the same.
Yeah.
Right.
Similar things with what they did with the movement on all these heavy infantry, where they're kind of just I don't know, this one. He goes this fast.
Right.
Yeah.
But is anything ever going to fix the Anaconda? That's a real question.
No.
The what?
The Anaconda.
No. It won't. Sorry.
No, I mean it's already better than the next worst tag, so I think it's fine.
That tag that I will not name.
Yeah. Hey, that thing died. The Avatar killed it.
Oh. Yours. Okay, so I know that CB has said that expect expansions. I don't remember if they said in 2021 or through 2021. And I don't know that even that's reality, even just because they said it. Because they're flexible whenever they feel like being flexible.
Right.
Let's assume that we get 2 armies at Gen Con. Okay, this is supposition. This isn't Secret Squirrel knowledge. What 2 armies would they come out with?
For Code
At
One?
Gen Con, if they did another operations box?
CodeOne. Yes, CodeOne.
I don't think they'll come out with another one this year, just because CodeOne just came out and Gen Con's coming up, and they probably would have announced that they would have them in the game, right?
Well, even if they didn't need a box, right? Even if they just came out with the army builder, they came out with 2. Which 2 are they going to do?
Well, hopefully, right? Dawn gets nuked and Ariadna just dies, and then they just do Hawk and Nomads.
I think Hawk and Nomads.
Yeah. Although Nomads and Aleph has, they've got some tension clearly, and that would be a good battle. But they did just do an Aleph box, so probably not.
The Aleph box is really recent though, and Nomads and Hawk aren't. So that would make sense to do as another remix.
Well, even if it's not a box, let's just say they're teasing these things out, and there will be a box, right? So let's just say it's Red Veil, and then the other half of, I don't know, the Tunguska stuff. Maybe it's Red Veil and Tunguska, or Rama and Tunguska, right? Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see what they end up doing as far as Code One, because I feel like they're not going to do any releases that are not tied to an operations box.
Yeah. And their next big releases are part of Defiance, where the rest of O12 is showing up, and most of Shaz. So we can safely rule out O12 of getting anything like that.
Yeah.
I think you're going to get the Zeta.
I mean, they possibly could get, though, they could do a sectoral. I guess not for Code One.
Right.
When N4 drops, maybe there's a mercenary company that's been working with O12 and has a character who's showing up in this new game, Defiance, that
That'll
has
never
his own
happen.
sectorial.
That sounds absurd. You've been smoking the whack at the back again, haven't you?
No.
They did just come out
The
with
devil's lettuce.
sculpts,
Yeah. Which sculpts did they come out with?
the Kaplans, the new
Oh,
Kaplan.
Yeah.
That's
They're
true.
supposed to be in White Banner.
You could make a generic
White Company.
White Company, yeah. My bad.
company. Yeah, so who knows when that's going to show up? They already have a character for it, right? Hawkwood.
Yep. Yeah.
Who's interesting?
Yeah. No, that guy's awesome. He works for Vanille Pano. He's really useful there.
So, but back on topic. So, you guys are talking about the interesting aspects of like the supply chain reasons that they would come out with this. But if you had to put money on that there were going to be 2 more armies that came out by the end of the year, and let's say Gen Con's that date, regardless if the models came out with them or not, what would you guys pick?
As most likely, or just what we'd like to see?
Most likely.
Rats.
No one means Toha.
No Toha.
So, yeah, I mean, everybody loves Toha. They're going to be rad with that +3 to their paramedic skill.
Oh, God.
Everybody just got odd meta kits.
Yeah.
So, it'll be, I think probably Hawk and Nomads seem the most reasonable, just because those are your remaining original factions.
Yeah.
Whereas Aleph and Toha, and then Ariadna, though, is kind of.
Yeah, but Ariadna and Aleph just got a box not too long ago. So probably not. But
That was last year's after all. So
Yeah, I mean, things have been moving pretty fast with those operation boxes, so it's hard to tell.
right.
And they do look like they're trying to change things around, but those are all pretty new models. So
Yeah.
I think Hawk and Nomads, because I think they're very, very similar to what we already see here.
Yeah.
Which may be kind of that problem. It's just the red guys versus the blue guys. But I think they have some things that they can leverage that are interesting and different, right? So if you're bringing a lot more regeneration and doctoring with Hawk, and you're playing up that that like recursive game style. And with nomads, you're bringing in, maybe they do introduce repeaters, right? And with nomads, you're bringing in like that really powerful, synergistic hacking aspect. Those are two different types of games, two different game styles.
Nomads might be the ones that bring in that REM driver ability.
There you go.
Yeah.
They could do it. And have all sorts of like things like that, right?
Right.
Something interesting would have to happen though, because right now, nomads and hawk are pretty closely allied for the most part, right? Most of the nomad diplomatic trading posts
Yeah.
are located throughout hawk territories, and they
The circulars.
yeah, and they're allied with each other pretty closely. So maybe they found Shasvasti infiltrators all throughout the nomads, and now Hawk is pissed.
Yeah.
Or vice versa.
So this is 5 years in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So things have changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually one thing that I'm interested to see is how Old Combined is doing with its invasion into the human sphere. That got stymied quite a bit.
Well, they lost
no longer the threat.
Well, I mean, Defiance. The whole point of Defiance, right, is that they go through and they close that gate and
Well, it was
an army.
I mean, probably, but it's also that the main thing with thrust of it was to stop a combined buildup, basically. So it's not necessarily closing because there's not really a gate.
Right.
It's just a wormhole that is unstable. So
it could be that like you call it like, okay, so Defiance goes through, they prevent the next wave from just basically overwhelming everything, and the combined army wins on Paradiso like they've been winning, and so they just have holdouts on Paradiso and like footholds elsewhere, but they're not like getting reinforced.
Well,
right?
what if they don't?
yeah, that's I think would be kind of an interesting.
I'm playing XCOM Chimera Squad, which is set years after the Adventure kicked off. And so now there's like all this amalgamation of living together. And so now it has me thinking about this, if not utopianist, like idea of Paradiso, but this like if you have a bunch of Morats on Paradiso who get cut off from their supplies, what are Morats going to do? They're going to become like they're not giving up, right? They're going to be like ambushing until they get eradicated, and it's going to be like whatever. But then you've got the Shasvasti who are not really impacted. And Onyx, who is maybe running extremely lean. You just have very different ways that the different forces are interacting within the human sphere. And then you do have Morats that have been working with the humans. So it's interesting to me.
I think really by slowing down the advance of the combined army, what it allows for is the plausibility that humanity isn't figuring their shit out, and so you've still got that escalating conflict between the different nations in the human sphere because the combined army threat is being reduced.
Yeah, I mean, which is what seems to be the focus of Keldstrom, is basically, I'm forgetting who the main aggressor here is. I think it's, well, no, I mean, I think it's Yuqing is attacking Pano because there's some, research facility.
Right.
They're like, oh yeah, we want that research, and then then the dire foes is Pano's retaliation to that.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. Of the entire like, okay, the combined army is cut off, but they still have like a strong foothold, and Paradiso can launch attacks from it. So they're like more in the power level of one of the other nations, and then so everyone else is like, okay, cool, aliens defeated. Let's go back to bickering. Hell yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's do it. And it's been 5 years, which is a magic time period in human international relations. About 5 years is like things start to slide. 10 years, things are like you start to get antagonistic against the policies you made 10 years prior. So it could be interesting. We could see like those shifts. And as things get, if Paradiso and that's all you have is this splinter fleet on Paradiso, it really was an attrition war that the humans can win on that planet.
Yeah, which is a complete role reversal for the combined.
Yeah.
because before it was just, yeah, we're going to slowly pour in and we'll win at some point. And it doesn't really matter to us.
Right. And you could even
Or
make
at least the commanders.
make new combined sectorals of like their jumbled mess of what's hanging out there or something like that. So you can see.
Yeah. But why do you think Morats weren't in CodeOne?
Because they didn't want to repackage the models.
Because they weren't in the main combined army box that came in the latest set.
Wildfire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 012 one, yeah.
Yeah. What is
because
it?
they are packaging them up for Defiance.
They are, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I think that's kind of
there's a lot of room to expand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The combined army right now is the army of Shazvasti plus Norkias.
And whoever, what's his name is?
Kodali. They're just hanging out.
And Dakush, or Dukash.
Whatever the heck he is. Yeah.
He's got a Shazvasti logo, though, so he's definitely with the army.
I mean, I don't place any trust in these silly squiggles.
It's weird. Because the Nexus
maybe
are
he's maybe he's one of those Shazvasti that's like he's from a weird offshoot of Shazvasti where he's like, no, I'm not gonna have a seed embryo. When I die, I'm taking my gene seed with me.
Yeah.
I mean my genes.
Yeah. The narcissist of the Shazvasti race.
Yeah.
It would be awesome if he's Sigma.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty rad.
Yeah.
God, I can't wait for that.
Cool.
So he's not following the proper color combination if that's what he thinks he's going to be.
The Grief Hopper is not. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, the Grief Hopper is that weird brownish color, right?
And the Fracta and the Macrep.
Yeah.
But
all right.
I'll see. I mean, there's room to see.
Okay, so
and
let's.
The Tin Show also doesn't look the same.
I know they have some thematic issues I think that they have to deal with, in addition to all the other problems they have with combined armor. So in order to wrap this up, because we're pretty long, you guys have any closing remarks for everybody listening back in at home?
I think I'm really positive actually on just playing some CodeOne because again, like I said, it reminds me of N2, where the main focus is I want to maneuver my guys and shoot each other rather than necessarily all the tricks that we're kind of used to. Yeah. And it'll be promising as a sign of what's to come for N4 if they're able to streamline some of the stuff that was really kind of cumbersome, and at the same time just bulk out that list of abilities that we get. Right? That'd be a good sign if that's simply what it is.
Cool.
Yeah, I agree. I'm interested. I'm interested to see if we can do it in 45 minutes.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. I think that does open things up for more rounds at events, which I think is really good, right? Because of 3 rounds, it's not quite the sample size you want in an ideal situation. And if you can get 4 or 5 rounds in a day, I think that could be really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree. Anything else, Obi?
I'm just looking forward to seeing all these crazy new characters.
Yeah.
Actually, that's
maybe some different aliens coming in too with Dakush. I mean, that's more Umbras is always good. Those are some rad looking models.
Yeah,
that definitely don't see enough play.
Yeah,
especially Norkias. I mean, he's like famous.
Yeah, and hopefully he learned his lesson from the ghost of Tony visiting him on Christmas Day.
Yeah, I killed this person and upgraded everyone in their regiment to be cooler. Great.
Significantly.
Well, you know what? He should if he has a lieutenant option in 4, I really hope that he has inspiring leadership. Because he learned that, even the lowly Unidron has dreams.
Taiga. They're more than just a squishy little tunnel diggler.
Yeah, they've got they does it not cry.
All right, gents. Hey, thanks very much. Thanks very much for meeting with me on this auspicious day, CodeOne, and we'll do these again.
Yeah. All right.
Take it easy.
See you guys later.
Bye.